What's going on, everybody, and welcome to the channel. Today we are taking a closer look at the Eachine TRASHCAN. It is a 75mm 1-2S capable tiny hoop. Now it is very similar to the Mobula7 that I've done a review on a couple of months ago, and that was an amazing tiny hoop that had just about everything, and it flew like a much bigger quadcopter than a 75mm tiny hoop. Now the Eachine TRASHCAN, just like the Mobula7, will fly like a much bigger quadcopter than a 75mm tiny hoop as well, and it will come in the FR Sky, Fly Sky, Spectrum, and no receiver version. Now here I'm testing out the FR Sky, the non-EU version. Now the frame itself may look similar to some of the other tiny hoops, but it is made with durability in mind. Now I haven't had any bad crashes yet, so I cannot tell you where it will get compromised in a crash, but look at all of these extra support all around the frame. And the frame itself is not the brittle type of plastic, and it will give a little, so that will also help with the longevity of the life of this frame. Now the canopy is also slightly flexible as well, and it is held on by 3 screws, one here, and one in the back. And the camera housing is a separate unit held on by 2 screws, so it can be adjusted to your desired tilt angle. Now in the product page it describes the tilt angle as being 0 to 35 degrees, but it goes way beyond that. I can tilt it all the way up. I think it will be, I believe, about at least a 60 degrees up tilt. Now I got mine set to about 35 degrees, and that is good enough for me. So it has the same battery connectors set up, just like the Mobula7, with double PH2 connectors set up in series, so that you are using 2 of these 300 milliamp high voltage batteries for a 2S experience. But you can also fly it in 1S using this little dongle, which you connect to one of these battery connectors for a pass through. So you can use the provided batteries and use one at a time for a 1S experience, or something a little bigger like this 450 milliamp 1S battery, which makes it just about the right amount of power for indoor flying. And here I have also placed a foam pad to keep the batteries from sliding out when using the 2 300 milliamp batteries. So you'll put one of them in this way, and you'll probably put the other one in this way, just like that, and you will connect one of each. And once you connect both of them, the quadcopter will power up. A little tip for using this type of batteries: what I have here right on the tip is a little piece of Scotch tape wrapping around like so, because the first battery is fine, but the second battery, when you start putting it in like this, the label of the battery will catch on that plastic battery bay and it'll start flipping over. So by placing a little piece of Scotch tape, you are able to just push it right in without the label being flipped over. So if you are using just one of these guys for the 1S experience, what you will need is another piece of foam just like this. So you will need 2 pieces of foam. I think these are about 1/8 of an inch thick. So just cut it out and place it right in there. So when you're using one of these batteries, you are able to slide it right in, and it fits in there snugly and it won't fly off. So you could upgrade the connectors using this XT30 connector, also provided in the box with the quadcopter, if you want to use your existing 2S batteries with an XT30 connector. But I do not have any 2S batteries with an XT30 connector, and these provided 1S batteries tandem to provide the 2S power seems to work just fine. It is just that the flight times are averaging out to about 2.5 minutes and up to about 3 minutes at the most. And check this out. Check out the LED light assembly here with the TRASHCAN emblem. Pretty cool, huh? Now the flight controller is the Crazy Bee F4 Pro flight controller, and it has everything. I mean, everything. It has RSSI, it has Betaflight OSD built in, it has an SPI receiver built in with telemetry, and also an onboard 4-in-1 BLHeli Suite programmable 6 amp D-Shot ESCs. And here is the micro USB port to connect to Betaflight configurator, and it already came with Betaflight 4.0.0. So to bind this flight controller slash receiver to your transmitter, you just simply power up the flight controller via batteries or battery, or via the micro USB. And then once it is powered up, you go ahead and press that bind button, which is accessible from the bottom, so you don't even have to remove the canopy at all. Now, that will put it into the binding mode, and now you just hit the bind key with a model set up on the transmitter and you are good to go. Now, I think all receivers should bind like this way, where you power it up and then you press the button, not power up and press the button at the same time. So this is really nice. And if you want telemetry, you will need to go into the telemetry page on your transmitter and click on to find new sensors. And once you have done that, you need to create an auxiliary channel for the RSSI to work. So the motors on the Eachine TRASHCAN are the 0803 15,000 kV 1 to 2S open bottom brushless motors, just 3 Phillips head screw holding it onto the frame, and they are the plug-in play type, so no soldering is required if you want to change out one of the motors. And the props that we are given are the 40mm quad bladed props, and did you notice that the motor direction is reversed? The props are spinning outwards instead of spinning in. Now, I am not sure if that makes a difference with debris splatter onto the camera, since the ducted fans already kind of protect the camera from flying debris, and they also protect the props from grabbing stuff in towards the quadcopter itself as well. But I do believe the props spinning outwards helps with a cleaner airflow. So the VTX is a triangular shaped 40 channel 25 to 200 milliwatt switchable VTX, and here is the flight controller board, and there right above it is the VTX board, which is a triangular shape. And we are given this tiny dipole coax antenna, which is connected to the transmitter via a UFL connector, as you can see right here, and it was already dislodged right out of the box, and it is very, very easy to become dislodged. So you may want to drop a glob of glue somewhere right around here on the canopy and the antenna itself to hold the antenna in place. And there is this single button right here. I'll point my screwdriver to it right there. Now that single button, you are able to change the channels, the bands, and the power output. But this transmitter also supports TBS Smart Audio, so you can change the channels, the bands, and the power output via the OSD menu using your transmitter. And also, because this quadcopter has telemetry, and if you already have LUA script installed in your transmitter, you can do all of that directly from your transmitter without the use of the OSD menu or your FPV goggles or a monitor. You can do it directly from the transmitter itself. Now the camera is a Caddx Turbo EOS 2 Cmos sensor camera with 1200 TV line, 2.1mm lens, 16:9 image size, NTSC FPV camera, which is more than clear enough for a tiny hoop like this. Now, I didn't have any issues with it myself, being a 16:9 image size, but some of you might not prefer 16:9 image size and rather prefer the 4:3 image size, but I did not have any issues with it myself, like I said, and because I'm using a box style goggle, so I'm already looking at image 16:9 anyway. Now the only issue that I was having with this quadcopter is not the camera, but there is a noticeable jello associated with what seems to be the camera mount, and by putting maybe some foam material below the camera, it does help a little, but it does not get rid of the jello entirely. All right, so here is the case, the zippered case that the quadcopter came in with the Eachine logo right on the top, and inside we have this nice foam cutout where the quadcopter was nicely nestled inside. But as you can see, the antenna is sticking up a lot, and that is the reason why it was dislodged right out of the box, because when I received this quadcopter, it did not come in a box, it just came in a plastic bag, so it was a little smashed, and you can see why the VTX antenna got dislodged. And here are all of the stuff that came inside of the case. So we got a screwdriver here, and we got the XT30 connector that we went over. Here is a USB charger for a single battery. You can charge it high voltage or normal voltage. And here we have the little dongle for the pass-through, and here are the 4 300 milliamp high voltage batteries. So they provide you with 4 of these batteries. And here is a bag of goodies containing a full set of extra props, quad bladed props in charcoal color, and a couple of foam pads there, and a bunch of screws, so that is really nice. And here we have an Allen wrench to help you adjust the tilt angle of your FPV camera. Here is a metal prop removal tool as well. So nice little bag of goodies. And here we are given the instruction pamphlet, and it gives you the diagram of the flight controller, top and bottom, and how everything is set up, and how to charge the battery. We are not given this 6-in-1 charger, however. And here are the default PID settings, and here is the BLHeli suite setup. And here you can go ahead and reverse the motors. So if you don't want the prop spinning out, you can change them to prop spinning in. Then you have to change that in Betaflight as well. And here is the setup for the flip over after the crash. And here is a diagram of the VTX itself. Like I said, a triangular shaped VTX with all of the channel line up, and the OSD menu, and also the binding procedure and the setup in Betaflight as well. Right, so very nice little instruction pamphlet, and that is everything that came inside of the case. All right, so the quadcopter by itself, without the batteries nor foam, comes in at a weight of just 34 grams. And if you are going to use 2 of these provided 300 milliamp size battery with just 1 piece of foam, I don't know if that piece of foam makes any difference, but it will come in at 49 grams. And if you are going to use one of these 450 milliamp size battery for a 1S experience, and that one you need 2 of these pieces of foam, and that will come in at 46 grams. So that is a quick look at the Eachine trash can. And if you have been sitting on the sidelines thinking about this one, I hope this video, as well as my flight test compilation video, which I will leave a link at the end of this video and down below as well, helps you out in making your decision whether to get this one or not. And as always, thank you for tuning in and watching. Have an awesome day, and we'll see you again next time.